Looking for even more awesome hot chocolate bomb ideas? Well, I've got you covered because in this video, I'm going to show you more flavors as well as some cute holiday decorating ideas. Welcome back, adventurers. Thank you so much for joining me for another fun food adventure. If this is the first time I'm gracing your screen, my name is Carly and welcome to my channel Adventures in Yum. Here I share delightfully delicious food videos that I hope will inspire you to go on your own food adventures. I share recipes for mostly sweet treats, some savory eats, food reviews, and yes, cocktails too. If that sounds awesome to you, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much to all of you for making my first hot chocolate bomb video such a success. I truly appreciate all of the amazing love and support. I'm really excited to share even more ideas for this fun food trend, but first I'm going to share a few things I've learned since the last video. First, the method of coating the mold in chocolate. Some people do not like to use a spoon or a food brush to brush the chocolate up the sides of the mold. If this isn't your cup of tea either, then I recommend doing what I call the chocolatier method. That's where you completely fill the walls of the mold with chocolate to make sure they're fully coated, and then you flip your mold and dump the chocolate out. Another method that's similar to this is to fill your mold about halfway with chocolate and then rotate your mold around like this. To make this method easier, I've seen people cut their molds so that each well is separate. I personally haven't done this because I want to still be able to bake in my molds, and once you cut silicone molds, you can no longer bake in them. Second, I want to give a shout out to Gail Orsonio for another great holiday hot cocoa bomb flavor idea, an eggnog bomb. To make this one, you use white vanilla wafers, nutmeg, chopped butter rum candy, dry vanilla coffee creamer, dry milk, malt, and more nutmeg. Thank you, Gail, for sharing that awesome idea. And third, I also wanted to shout out Little 4569 for a great idea regarding the marshmallow bits. In my last video, there were some of the small bombs where I couldn't fit marshmallow bits inside. They suggested that you drizzle some of the melted chocolate inside of the top of the hot chocolate bomb and add the marshmallow bits so that they stick to the top. That way, you'll still have marshmallow bits in your small hot chocolate bombs. I love this idea and I will definitely be using it. Have you made hot chocolate bombs yet? And if so, how did it go? I would love to hear about it in the comments below. Also, if you're on social media, make sure to tag me when you post those hot chocolate bombs. I would love to see them. And now, let's make 3 new flavors, 2 of which are boozy bombs. Our first fun flavor is salted caramel. First, we're going to make the shells just like we did in the last video, but this time we're only making the large bombs and we're going to make the shells a little thicker. This is because we're not adding any cocoa powder to these ones, so the chocolate shell is the only part that provides chocolate flavor. After making the shells, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of caramel. For this particular batch of caramel, I made it with sea salt for an added layer of flavor. I'll put the link for my caramel recipe in the description. Next, add a sprinkle of fine salt. I decided to use some fine ground sea salt for this set of cocoa bombs. Note, if you already made a batch of caramel with the extra 1/4 teaspoon of salt, do not add extra salt here or else you will have a salt bomb with a hint of caramel and chocolate, which is just ew. Then add about a 1/4 cup of mini marshmallows. After sealing the bombs, we're going to drizzle the melted chocolate wafers over the top. Sprinkle a generous amount of hard caramel pieces like the ones we made for the creme brulee hot cocoa bombs in the first video, and another little sprinkle of fine salt. Unlike the large bombs I made in the last video, you only want to add about 1 cup or 8 ounces of milk for this one. If you love salted caramel like I do, then you are going to love this hot chocolate. The second fun flavor is salted caramel Baileys. After making the slightly thicker shells and popping them out of the molds, add 1/2 ounce of salted caramel Baileys. If salted caramel is not your favorite flavor, feel free to add your preferred Baileys, like regular or even espresso. After sealing them, drizzle some of the melted chocolate over the top and immediately add some cute festive sprinkles. This hot chocolate bomb has the perfect amount of Baileys to provide flavor and let you know it's there but not smack you in the face with alcohol flavor. It's a great beverage to have on a cold winter's night. The third fun flavor is Peppermint Schnapps. After making the thick shells, we're adding half an ounce of peppermint schnapps. After completely sealing the bombs, we're going to drizzle the melted chocolate over the bombs and immediately add cute festive sprinkles to the top. Peppermint hot chocolate has always been one of my favorite treats to enjoy during the holidays. This Peppermint Schnapps hot cocoa bomb is a nice way to give that childhood favorite a grown-up feel. There are so many possible combinations for boozy hot chocolate bombs, so have some fun with it. And now, let's check out some super cute holiday hot cocoa bomb decorating ideas. For all of these decorated bombs, I made regular hot chocolate bombs inside vanilla shells. The first decoration design is an ornament. This one starts when we're making the shell. Using the melted Ghirardelli vanilla melting wafers, coat the inside of the well. Then, arrange mini red and green M&Ms around the inside of the well and carefully press them to the side of the mold. Make sure to work diligently because the vanilla wafers set quickly. If the M&Ms are a little difficult to stick to the sides, lightly dip them in a little more melting wafers and then adhere them to the inside of the mold. After the first half sphere is complete, make the second. And then, as usual, add a secondary layer to reinforce the sides. Once the shells are set, filled, and sealed, set it aside to work on the other components. To make the base of the topper, add some vanilla melting wafers to a mini cupcake liner. Fill the liner about a third to a halfway full, and then place this in the freezer for about 1 minute or until completely set. Once it's hardened, remove it from the cupcake liner and brush it with gold edible glitter. To make the hook part of the topper, use a piping bag filled with melted vanilla wafers to pipe a curved shape onto parchment paper, like what you see here. Once it's completely set, brush it with gold edible glitter. To assemble, first, lightly brush the hot cocoa bomb with silver edible glitter. Then, add a little of the melting wafers to the bottom of the gold topper and place it on top of the bomb. Next, use food tweezers to dip the ends of the hook part of the topper into melted vanilla wafers and then hold it for about 15 to 20 seconds on top of the gold base until it can stand on its own. And there we have this cute ornament hot cocoa bomb. The second decoration design is a snowball. This one is very easy. All you need is some shredded coconut and some silver edible glitter. To a small bowl, add about a third to a half cup of shredded coconut and a little sprinkle of edible glitter, less than an eighth teaspoon. And then thoroughly mix this together. Use a food paintbrush to brush the top of a hot cocoa bomb with vanilla melting wafers. Before they set, dip them into the glittery coconut mixture. It's that quick and easy to make a cute snowball hot cocoa bomb. The third decoration design is holly and berries. Start by adding about a quarter to a third cup of green candy melts to a microwave safe bowl. Heat them in short increments of 15 to 30 seconds at a time until they are completely melted. Make sure to stir them in between each heating. Once they're fully melted, add a tiny bit of vegetable oil and thoroughly mix it into the candy melts. Over many projects, I've realized that there's no exact ratio of candy melts and vegetable oil. However, my rule of thumb is about a third of a cup of candy melts to 1 teaspoon of vegetable oil. If it's still too thick, add vegetable oil in very small amounts until you reach a consistency where the candy melts flow nicely off the spoon. Use a food paintbrush to paint the green candy melts in a holly leaf shape. Continue this until the top of the cocoa bomb is covered in holly leaves. Pro tip, when decorating these hot cocoa bombs, place them in a cupcake liner to prevent them from rolling around. Add red candy melts to a microwave safe bowl and repeat the same procedures as before with the green candy melts. To make the berries, use a food paintbrush to add little dots of red around the hot chocolate bomb. And there we have the holly and berries hot cocoa bomb. Do you want to build a snowman? Sorry, I couldn't help myself. The fourth decoration design is a snowman. Start by taking a regular size marshmallow and a black edible marker. Draw dots for the eyes and then dots for the mouth. Next, take an orange Jammy sprinkle and gently push it about a third or halfway into the marshmallow for the snowman's nose. Next, add a little bit of the melted vanilla wafers on top of the bomb and place the snowman head on top. I decided to put the marshmallow not in the middle but slightly off to make it look like the snowman was sitting back. For the buttons, use the melted vanilla wafers to adhere 3 mini M&Ms to the hot cocoa bomb. An optional last step is adding arms to the snowman. I decided to use a brown edible food marker to draw them onto the hot cocoa bomb body. There is no snow where I live, so I am glad I could at least make this cute little snowman. Before I reveal my final 2 decorations, make sure to hit that like button and click subscribe. What's this? What's this? Why, it's the 5th decoration design, Jack Skellington. One of my favorite movies is Nightmare Before Christmas, so I had to include at least one inspired by the movie. This one is super simple. Prepare black candy melts the same way we prepare the red and green candy melts earlier in this video. Take a food paintbrush and paint Jack's eyes, nose, and finally mouth. A super easy and cute way to enjoy one of my favorite Christmas movie characters. The 6th decoration design is the Santa hat. To make this adorable hot cocoa bomb, we will start by making the Santa hat. Unwrap a Hershey's Kiss. I decided to go super festive and use one of their sugar cookie kisses. Then use some kind of thin stick kitchen tool like this Wilton needle food tool to gently poke the bottom of the kiss. You want to make sure that you insert the needle far enough to ensure that the kiss does not fall off when you turn it upside down. Then, using the same red candy melts from earlier, we are going to dip the kiss into the red candy melts and thoroughly shake off excess candy melts before flipping it over. Use a fork to gently pop it off the needle and place it on a piece of parchment paper to allow the candy melts to harden. Next, cut a regular size marshmallow into 4 pieces, making them as even as possible. Take one of the marshmallow pieces and spread a little bit of the melted vanilla wafers onto the top. Place the Hershey's Kiss on the marshmallow. Then dip the bottom of a marshmallow bit into the melted vanilla wafers and place it on top of the kiss. To assemble the hot cocoa bomb, drizzle the melted vanilla wafers over the top, and then add a generous sprinkle of candy cane pieces. Finally, top it off with the marshmallow and Hershey's Kiss Santa hat. If I had to pick only one of these to be my favorite, this would probably be it. I love how the Santa hat turned out. You can find my first hot chocolate bomb tutorial and flavors, as well as these new ideas on my website, adventuresandyum.net. The links are in the description below. And if you haven't already, please make sure to check out my first hot chocolate bomb video. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time for another fabulous, fun food adventure.